Hi there, I'm John McCann and this is our OnePlus 6 review video where we'll take you through all the major features of the handset, what we make of them, and of course round up what we feel about the handset as a whole in the verdict at the end. So let's jump straight into it. The OnePlus 6 comes in 3 different colour variants: Midnight Black, Mirror Black, which we reviewed here, and Silk White. But it also comes in 3 different variants too in terms of storage and RAM. Now, OnePlus has reinvigorated the design of its flagship handset. The past 4 generations of OnePlus have come with an all-metal unibody. However, this time it's chosen to go for glass, both front and back. That's Gorilla Glass 5, making it nice and tough, and it puts it in line with the likes of the Galaxy S9, the iPhone X, all handsets that are utilising that glass body, which is seen as the most premium finish really on most flagship smartphones this year. So it's up there in terms of look and feel in the hand. It looks nice, it feels really good, it's got a good weight to it. It's a slightly heavier, however, than the 5T before it, but it's not too overbearing. Now, round the back you'll find a rear-facing fingerprint scanner, again like on the 5T, but this time OnePlus has actually reduced its size and made it more of an oval rather than a circle. It's still easy to hit though, and there's enough space between it and the vertically stacked dual cameras above it, so you're not smudging the camera lenses when you use it. OnePlus has also shifted the position of its alert slider from the left to the right side of the phone, which it says plays more nicely for people who want to use flip-style cover cases. On the other side, you've still got the volume rocker, and now that sits below the dual SIM card slot. Takes 2 SIM cards, both of which can support 4G LTE, giving you super fast data wherever you are, which will be really good for the travelers among you. Another positive thing in terms of design for a lot of people will be the inclusion of the headphone jack. OnePlus has retained it for the 6, and it sits down there on the base of the phone alongside a USB-C port and a down-firing speaker. Slightly disappointing, there's no stereo speakers here, and that rear down-firing speaker can quite easily be muffled with your hand, but it's not the end of the world. Moving on to the display, and this is the biggest screen OnePlus has ever put on a phone, 6.28 inches with a full HD resolution and a 19:9 aspect ratio. That means it's taller, so flip it landscape, really good for movies and gaming. While back in portrait mode, you get an extra few tweets on your scrolling list and a bit of extra space when you're generally web browsing, viewing emails, etc. So it's nice, it looks good. There's not much bezel, but the biggest talking point is probably that notch at the top, cutting into the display slightly. It's smaller than the one you find in the iPhone X, bigger than the one you found in the Essential phone, and pretty much the same size as the notch on the Huawei P20 Pro. Now, if you head into the settings, there is an option to hide the notch. That just basically puts black bars either side of it, giving you a much neater square design. So if you're not a fan of the notch, it can easily be hidden. I personally kind of like the way the screen sort of wraps around it from a visual standpoint, especially wallpapers on your home screen, but OnePlus knows it's not for everyone, and like many others is giving you that option to hide. In terms of battery, the OnePlus 6 comes with a 3300 mAh battery. That's generally good for a whole day on a single charge with relatively high usage. If you do find yourself running low, the OnePlus 6 is also compatible with their firm's dash charge technology. Now, OnePlus says this gives you a day's power in half an hour, which is a nice tagline, although we don't think that's quite strictly true. It can do 0 to 60% in 30 minutes, which is still impressive. Something slightly disappointing though is that there is no wireless charging. Why do we say that? Because the OnePlus 6 uses a glass front and back, the first time the flagship handset from the firm has done so. However, it's not been included here, which is a little bit of a shame, but also not surprising considering the price of this handset, considerably cheaper than a lot of the main flagships, and OnePlus will have to cut corners somewhere. Round the back you'll find 2 rear-facing cameras, a main 16 megapixel sensor and then a secondary 20 megapixel sensor. Now, these may sound very similar to what we found on the OnePlus 5T, and for most part they are, but there is one key difference. The main 16 megapixel camera has been increased in size by up to 19%, allowing it to suck in more light. Now, what does that mean? That means better low light shots, as the camera is able to capture extra light detail and brighten up images for a clearer and less noisy shot. The 16 megapixel camera also includes OIS, that's optical image stabilization, which is something that was missing from the 5T. That also improves low light and also reduces the amount of general noise, muddiness, blurring in general shots as well. So it is an improvement in a couple of ways over previous camera technology from the firm. There's also also a portrait mode. The second 20 megapixel camera is in charge of capturing extra depth detail to give you a nice blurred background against your in-focus subject, and that works very nicely. In a software update coming soon, the front-facing camera will also get a portrait mode. We're not quite sure when that software will land, but OnePlus has already confirmed it will happen. Another new trick for the rear-facing camera is slow-motion video recording. You can capture up to 480 frames per second at a 720p resolution, or if you want to go full HD, you'll have to reduce your frame per second to 240, which is still pretty slow and looks good. The real kicker here though is the ability to record up to 1 minute of super slow-mo footage, which when played back equates to about 6 minutes. Now that's an awful lot, and it's unlikely you'll ever want that much slow-mo footage, but it does give you a lot of scope to play with, and then after shooting you can then adjust just how much of your video you want to be in super slow-mo. So it gives you lots of creativity options there, and it's quite nice and simple to use. And the last thing with the camera on the OnePlus 6 is the ability to shoot 4K resolution video at 60 frames per second, giving you really smooth, clear, bright and colourful shots. Now, you're not going to get the full effect in terms of playback on the handset itself because it's only a full HD display, but if you've got a 4K monitor or TV at home, then that will really make a difference. In terms of power, there is plenty packed into the OnePlus 6. It comes with Qualcomm's flagship Snapdragon 845 chipset, which provides the main brains and grunt of the operation, and then you get the choice of either 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, depending on which configuration you choose to buy. Now, it doesn't really matter. In terms of overall performance, if you go for 6 or 8, we reviewed the 8 gigabyte smartphone, but 6 is still an awful lot for a smartphone to have, and it means you can throw pretty much any application and game on it. Again, the full HD display, no HDR support either for it, means that, okay, some of the experiences will look better on rival handsets which cost a lot more, but again, considering how much you're paying for this phone, it is still a very good setup. OnePlus even goes as far as to say that in a year's time it will run just as quickly as it does today. Now, we can't guarantee you that obviously, but we'll get back to you in a year's time to just see if it can live up to that reputation, but it is a promising start. All that power is also in charge of running Android 8.1 Oreo on the screen. That's the latest operating system from Google, and from the outset it looks like stock Android, but it does run OnePlus's Oxygen OS over the top, which brings a whole host of extra customization options and gesture controls which you can find in the settings menu. Everything runs smoothly and it's easy to operate. If you've had an Android handset in the past, you're not going to have any trouble here getting your head around what's going on. As well as that fingerprint scanner we talked about earlier, you also get Face Unlock. This is something we've already seen on the 5 and the 5T from OnePlus, and again, it works very well on the OnePlus 6. It's surprisingly fast and you don't have to look directly at the handset for it to work, even a sideways glance, and it all unlocks really quickly. OnePlus says 0.4 seconds it takes to recognise your face and unlock, and we're relatively assured that that is correct. Of course, the fingerprint scanner is always there if you're wearing sunglasses, which it doesn't like, or any other face coverings that it's going to struggle to recognise you with. But it's a really nice implementation of the technology. It's not quite as advanced as Apple's Face ID, but it is a good offering nevertheless. So there you have it, the OnePlus 6, a powerful, feature-packed flagship smartphone with a price tag that's much below the likes of Samsung, Apple, Sony, LG, and everyone else really. It offers a lot for your money. Okay, so it doesn't have a QHD or 4K resolution, there's no expandable storage, there's no wireless charging, there's no official IP rating. It is water resistant, but it doesn't have an official rating for submersion, and there's no stereo speakers. So, okay, there are a few corners cut, but you can kind of accept that considering the price point that the OnePlus 6 is at. You're not really going to find better value for money at this particular price point. If this is all you've got to spend, then this is an absolutely stonking phone. So overall then, the OnePlus 6 is the most well-rounded, grown-up phone that OnePlus has ever produced. It really feels like it's hit the nail on the head with this one. And while some people may bemoan the lack of a few small flagship style features, they can all be easily sort of accepted as not being there when you're not paying all that much money in the grand schemes of flagship smartphones. For even more on the OnePlus 6, make sure you check out our full review, and for everything tech, make sure you go to techradar.com. We'll see you again very soon.